bought a bike. I'm going to ride that around Scotland. Right, so we're going to start doing the recommissioning of this little DT100, and here he is. So we've got plenty to do. We want to find out if it's got a spark. Then secondly, we need to strip the carb off. That's leaking from the float bowl, so we probably just want a new gasket. But we'll get it off, get it in the ultrasound, get it cleaned up, take the air filter out, make sure that's nice and clean. We'll probably just not use the air filter to get it started, to make sure it will run. But the first things first, as long as it's got a spark, needs some fire and fuel, and away we go. I suppose I should really give you some background on this bike and where it actually came from. We did a startup video down in Telford for Gem at Top Dog Motorcycles, and at the end of the day, we tried to start this up. It obviously weren't going to start, so we thought, we need a project bike, because we've got a plan to go to Scotland and ride around Scotland, and we don't have that bike at the moment. We actually originally wanted to do that bike up there, excuse the sombrero and the stuff everywhere, but that's a DT50MX, and that there is all the parts for it. But it's not looking like we're going to get that done anytime soon. Some of the parts that we're looking for are a bit scarce, so we're having to search abroad for them. All in time, that one will come together. We've got a video actually running. We'll link that in the description for you if you want to have a look at that, but it's a work in progress. As I say, we're looking for a project. So that project is right here. And what we're going to do with this is we're just going to recommission it and just make it so it will ride, and it'll ride reliably, semi-reliably, and then take it off to Scotland. We're going to do 500 miles. We're not going to do it in a time when it's nice, when the weather's good. We're going to do it in the coldish weather, end of February, beginning of March, all being well. But this thing, it's got compression, it's getting fuel, but unfortunately the fuel's all just coming out through float bowl. So we've got a bit of work to do on that. It's got all its gears, so its gearbox works. Its clutch seems to work all right. We don't know about drive yet. But the first things first, let's just get it started, get it running, and find out what's the matter with it. So this has got 2 spark plugs, and I'm very sure now, I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and we're pretty sure that the 2 spark plugs are for if you get stuck out and about, because it's an off-road bike, it's an enduro bike, and back in them days they didn't fuel too well. If plug ever fouled up, you'd have a problem, because obviously you got no spark. So you'd just switch it over from one to the other. But for now, let's just find out if it's got a spark. I'm not sure if the on-off switch works. So let's find out. Let's drop the bench down a little bit. Alright. So we do have some cableage. Set that to run. Alright, so technically, there should be no reason why we can't find out if there's a spark on that. There's a spark plug out of my TRS Trials bike. So I'll shove that up out of the way. That's absolutely knackered. HT lead is not even clasping up enough. This has stood for a long time, it obviously has. But there is one reason why someone stopped riding this, and that's the exciting part. Just finding out exactly what that was. It's more than likely going to be related to this, because there's some build up inside there, and the plug is loosely fitting. So what we'll do is give that a little clean up, nip it up so it grips onto the top of the spark plug cap. I've got a small file. Just nip it up. We'll probably replace this, because if we're going to be doing any kind of miles on it, it's going to need it. So the kickstart's on the other side, so what I'll do, I'll take it around to the other side, and then we can move the kickstart, and I can show you as well at the same time. Pull that through. It's not quite long enough. Story of my life. So just earth the plug out in the cylinder head there, and I'm looking just here for a spark. Oh, we have got a spark. It's not sparking in the right place, it's sparking off to one side, but we have got a very faint, I don't know if you can make that out. Let's try and zoom in on it a little bit. I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up. Very faint spark. Seems quite intermittent as well. But that's a success, so we've got spark. Just whoop the air filter off. The air filter's been off and someone's not tightened the screws back up, and usually this is a bit of a sign that someone's been fiddling around trying to find out what's wrong with this. Nah, there's no air filter in there. So, yep, let's get the air filter box off and then we'll get the carb out and we'll try and get it on the ultrasonics. That is just full of rust. Yeah, gonna need a new seat. That's in such poor condition. The oil tank obviously has not been used in a long time because it's rusty inside. We're going to replace all these bolts anyway, so let's get that off now. Perfect. I'll look after that. I love the patina on that. I love the condition of it. I'm going to save that if I can. Lots of balls holding air filter in. Carb actually is fairly clean. It's not the dirtiest carb I've ever seen in my life. But it's not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. But let's get that stripped down now. That doesn't look standard. Someone else has put in. Oh, that fuel smells awful. That's just, so someone's put an overflow pipe on the float chamber and then put a screw in the end. So they've obviously had a problem with it overflowing, which is just a problem with float. Probably the float needle needs replacing. And they thought, oh well, I know, we'll just stop the fuel from pissing out by blocking pipe up. Maybe why we had a breakdown, because it's just continuously kept flooding the engine. As soon as they turned it off, it will have just flooded the engine. That possibly could be the problem. Right. Here. While we've got the spanners out, we might as well get this tank off as well, because I want the fuel out of that and I'm going to try and get that dint out. I want to leave the patina and the paint and everything because it's all crazed. But yeah, I need that dint out of the tank. Full. So that's full of nasty American fuel. No offense to you American guys, but your fuel's crap. E85 I got told it was. And I don't know if what E85 means, whether that means that you've just got, well, it's 15% ethanol, because we've got E5 and E10 here, which is 5 and 10% ethanol. But you might do it the opposite way around in America. So E85, I'm thinking, is 15% ethanol. I might be wrong. Please tell me. Leave a comment. But it smells horrendous. And, ugh, it smells like beer. It's like a really bad wine. It's bloody awful. But we can clean the tank out. It's something I've been dying to do for a while. Use electrolysis to clean the tank out. So we'll definitely do that. But first I want to get it running. So we'll just empty that tank out, we'll put some proper fuel in it, super close, that'll be 5%, and just try and get it running. I'm excited. Right, so we've got the carb off, the DT, and we're going to strip it down and give it a clean in the ultrasonic. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but look at the build up on that. Safely say that's bent. Extra screw. Now we don't even know if it was running well or on. Half, one. So it's one turn out, half, one. That's where it was. So it was one full turn out. That's where the mixture was set before, so we'll just try that again when we get it rebuilt. We'll take that out. pin and a little spring. It's tough to see why that was leaking. Because the gasket looks... Oh, hang on. No, the gasket's got a little break. That's the reason why it was leaking. You can see the build up on the gasket there. So let's get this stripped down. Floats look a little bent. No, that's not to worry. We'll set that up. Try and bend them straight again. But they're not leaking. You check them, there's no liquid inside. That's usually what happens. They start to leak and then they won't float anymore, obviously, because they've got fuel inside them. It was at this point I realised there was no float valve in it, and that had been the problem all along. That's why it was overflowing, that's why they had the original problem with it, and that's the problem I'd got with it now. So we needed to order one of those before we went any further. Look at that. There you go, that's why it was leaking. So, scrap, need to order one of them. So hopefully that'll come like new in the sonic cleaner. Apart from these bits, we're going to give them a bit more attention. Ugh, that is awful. That is absolutely awful. And that's going to need a good cleaning. So what we've got is these. I'm not even sure what they call these because they're not very coarse to be calling them files. But I think it was bought as a needle file kit. I used to get in here. And just running all the way through. Ugh, see the crap come out of that. And it just cleans it through and allows maximum amount of fuel to get through. Right, so get and wire brush. Get one strand of it, get your pliers, pull it out without snapping it off. This is just what I use. You may have got a special tool for it. But, should give that a little wrangle down. Set it off going anyway. A couple of capfuls of this in. Just jewellery cleaner. So we've had a delivery, some bits from Yam Bits. We needed a float valve so we can carry on with to make sure the bike will actually start and run. And we've had this turn up from Yam Bits, which is put the two side by side. I don't even need to open the packet because that visually will not fit. It's way too small. So we'll not open that. And what I've done is I've gone round to a local bike stockist, or bike parts stockist. My nearest one is Sid Smith's, and he looked through a little magic box which looks like it's about 60 years old and found these parts which are probably about 60 years old. It says on it YZ85, but so it's not a million miles away. But the float valve seat and valve, both new. So all I need is a copper washer to fit that. I may have to wing it a little bit because it's obviously not the right one for the bike. I may have to wing it a little bit and adjust the float level a bit differently. And I may have to take off this cage, this like hanger, wire hanger, for it to fit. But I'm sure we can make something good of that. And the gasket that I made. So let's crack on. Very good, it's looking like it's completely closed up, so we're going to have to bend the float into position. That's just solid, see. So but that, I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like someone's bent that to an extent. Right, if we bend that down to a place where I think it would be a standard, which I think is about there, and we can adjust it from there. Look it underneath the wire cage. If you don't know how a float level works, basically the carb sits like that, and it sits with the bowl on the bottom. As the bowl fills up with petrol, it pushes the floats and closes that valve. Obviously then the engine uses the fuel that it needs to use, and then as that fuel depletes, it drops back down to allow a bit more fuel through. Fuel comes through here, and that's just to stop it overflowing, which is exactly what was happening. It was just overflowing. So we'll just use a gasket I've made, rebuild it, get it on the bike. Let's find out what it's like. Invaluable little tool this. I'm going to hang this over handlebars. I'm going to fill it with premix. So you can see. Ah, got me. Right, so I'm going to turn on the fuel. If it leaks, we've failed. So far so good. No leak yet. No, it's like we got away with it. Oh, I bodged it and made a gasket, and bodged it and fitted a float valve that's not meant for this bike. No reason why it won't start now. Nothing's running out. Choke on. Engine in to run. Throttle's closing. Bit of brake cleaner. Tell you what I'm going to do. Switch the plug over. From one to the other. Something in it. It's not very much. That's the trouble, so float raising up on that. Right, so I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling with this carb. I don't think I know the needle's not the right one for it. And I've tried adjusting it, I've tried lifting it up, I've tried lowering it down, the float that is. And it's either throwing the petrol straight out of the overflow pipe or we're getting no fuel in it at all. So I think I might have got to a stage now where there's just enough fuel getting in to be able to start it. It does run with a runner, but only on ether. But as Jem says, that's a runner. We're in. So fingers crossed, give it a bit of a sniffer, bit of brake cleaner, and it might fire up without exploring. We're just not getting fuel, so we're going to have to either source a new carb for it or get the correct parts. I'm not even sure you'll be able to get the parts for this, or even if this is the correct carb for bike, it might not be. I have already sourced a carb, one that this says really good for YZ85s. It's the same diameter. We may have to alter the air filter side, but that's not a real big problem. And the carb's complete and it comes with lots of spares and lots of different jets. So that is an option. But for a tenner, it was worth a go. I'm gonna have a little fiddle around with it again, see if I can actually get some fuel getting into it without it overflowing. But at this stage now, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that at all. It's worth a try. Alright, this has been on and off so many times now, I've had enough of it.
It sounds awful. It sounds terrible. That's up the door.
That's a runner. We'll take that. Oh, gotta get out of here. I'm just going to throw this in parts wash. There's not that much fuel, probably 3 or 4 litres. Oops, that's on full now. We'll have a like inspection of what's in the tank. Look at that. Oh my god, that's disgusting. I've never seen fuel like that before. I know I keep going on about it. That's much better in the parts wash than running through engine with that little DT. No way. What we did get from Yambits that's turned up and it's right, it's all correct, is the seat and the fittings for the seat as well. So unfortunately it's not the right one. The one we want has this buckle to hold the seat down and that's got a hook. So this must be off a later model. So I'll send that back as well. That's 2 things we bought from Yambits. We need to go back. So we got it running, but we've run into a bit of a full stop. That carb is just not gonna cut it unless I can get the actual genuine parts for it. The float, I'll probably need the new floats as well, actual floats, the float valve, genuine one, and be able to put in the proper settings. It just won't, it won't set to a point where it won't flood, but then it's giving the engine enough fuel to actually run. So I've got another option. When I went to the bike spares earlier, they got a carb on the shelf that will fit straight on. It's meant for a different bike. It's meant for a YZ85, but he says it will fit perfectly and it will fly. They were his words exactly. This is Sid Smith in Sheffield. Give him a little shout. He's always there for us. He's not the cheapest in town. He'll probably admit he's not the cheapest in town, but he's there when you need him. He's always got parts in stock. So that's why you should look after places like that, your local bike place that's been there a long time. Look after them because they might not be there forever. And as we've found out, the 2 bits that we've bought from Yambits, not moaning about Yambits, but they've turned up, they're the wrong parts. So blessed to have local bike shops like Sid Smith's. For now though, we've achieved what we needed to do. I know it runs, I know it's going to run. It doesn't sound the best, but it's a 2-stroke, it's an old 2-stroke, and most of these parts fingers crossed I can get, as long as Yambits are going to send us right ones. It might need a new set of rings, but it doesn't sound too bad. Just wants a little bit of a tickle up, get the oil feed running, get that running properly, some new cables, obviously the carb. There's nothing else really. We're going to fit some lights to it. This is all in up and coming episodes, let's call them episodes, just to get the lights fitted, an ignition on it, so someone can't just ride away on it, and make it road legal. Oh, we're going to be applying for the logbook as well, because we've got the Nova through now. I've never done that before, but I'm going to show people how to do it. Since I've never done it before, I might as well find out and make a video of it. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, and you want to see more of it, plus if you want to see us fail at riding these things, this bike and another one that I'll show you right now that we've built before, and I'll leave a link to that one in description, then just subscribe to the channel. We're not a very big channel. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. We've got a competition to win an Iron Hell impact gun. If you want to win that, we'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Definitely do that, because there's only about 8 entrants, so that you've got a really, really high chance of winning it, and it's worth 200 quid. An Iron Hell impact gun and 2 batteries. It's just a no-brainer, so subscribe to the channel and watch that video. Yeah, so if you want to see us fail at riding it around Scotland and freeze to death in February, then subscribe to the channel. So thanks for watching.